Have you ever wondered what love so powerful could teach us about life's deepest truths? In the heart of the ancient Himalayas, a mythical tale of Kandakinara and Kanda unfolds, a story of sacrifice and compassion that echoes the Buddha's path. Why did these divine beings risk everything? Stick around to uncover a Buddhist tale that will awaken your heart and inspire your journey. Hit that subscribe button and let's dive in. The Song of Boundless Love. In the heart of the ancient Himalayas, where emerald peaks pierce the heavens and whispering winds carry secrets older than time, a melody once danced through the forest. A melody not of this world, woven from the tender threads of love and sacrifice. Imagine a place where every leaf hums with life, where the air itself feels sacred, and where two beings bound by an unspoken vow defy the fleeting nature of existence. This is the tale of Kandakinara, a story that stirs the soul, a story that asks, what would you give for love? Not just a fleeting spark, but a love so profound it echoes through lifetimes. Let this tale pull you into its embrace, for once you step into its rhythm, you may find it impossible to turn away. Long ago, in a forest cradled by the snowy arms of the Himalayas, lived a pair of kinnaras, mythical creatures half human, half bird, whose voices could make the stars pause to listen. Kandakinara, with feathers that shimmered like molten gold under the sun, was the noblest of them all. His eyes held the wisdom of countless lives, yet his heart beat with a simplicity that only love can inspire. By his side was Kanda, his beloved, her wings a cascade of silver, her gaze a mirror of devotion that could calm even the wildest storm. Together, they wove a life of harmony, their songs blending into a symphony that filled the forest with joy. But what is a story without a shadow? What is love without a trial? As you linger here, let me ask, have you ever felt a bond so deep that you'd surrender everything for it? Hold that thought, for Kandakinara's tale will show you what such love demands. Their days were a dance of light and song, soaring above treetops, gliding through mist-kissed valleys, their wings brushing the edges of eternity. The forest was their sanctuary, a place where time seemed to bow before their love. Yet, even in paradise, fate weaves its threads. One fateful dawn, as the first rays of sunlight kissed the earth, a hunter entered the forest. His heart was not cruel, but his hands were guided by survival, his eyes fixed on the golden gleam of Kandakinara's feathers. A trap was set, cunning and silent, and before the sun climbed higher, Kandakinara was ensnared, his wings bound, his song silenced. The hunter's heart quickened, not out of malice, but from the awe of capturing a creature so divine. But what he could not see was the bond that tied Kandakinara to Kanda, a bond that no cage could hold. Can you feel the weight of this moment? The forest holds its breath, and so must you, for what happens next will redefine the meaning of devotion. Kanda, perched on a distant branch, saw her beloved trapped. Her heart, a fragile thing of light and song, trembled not with fear, but with resolve. She could have flown away, her wings swift enough to carry her beyond the hunter's reach. But love, true love, does not flee. It stands, it sacrifices, it sings even when the world grows silent. With a grace that made the trees weep, Kanda descended, her silver feathers catching the light like a falling star. She landed beside the trap, her eyes locked on Kandakinara's, and in that gaze passed 1,000 unspoken promises. The hunter, startled, raised his bow, but Kanda did not flinch. She sang, a melody so pure it seemed to pause the river's flow, a song that spoke of love unbroken, of a bond that death itself could not sever. The hunter's hand faltered, his heart stirred by a force he could not name. Have you ever heard a call so powerful it changed you? Stay with me, for this is where the story turns, where love becomes a mirror for the soul. Kanda Kanara, seeing Kanda's courage, felt a fire kindle within him. He would not let her stand alone. With a strength born of love, he spoke to the hunter, his voice steady despite the chains that bound him. "Take me," he said, "but let her go. My life is hers and hers is mine. If one must fall, let it be me." His words were not a plea, but a vow, a testament to a love that placed the other above self. The hunter, a man accustomed to the ways of the wild, had never heard such words from a creature. His grip on the bow loosened, but greed still whispered in his ear. Kanda, undeterred, stepped closer to the trap, her wings brushing against its cruel edges. "If you take him," she said, her voice a melody of defiance, "you take me too. We are one, in life and beyond." The forest seemed to lean in, the wind carrying their words to the heavens. Can you imagine such a moment? A love so fierce it challenges fate itself. If this story moves you, if it stirs something deep within, consider sharing it with others. Let this tale of devotion spread like a song across the world. And if you feel called to support this journey of storytelling, a super thanks would mean the world to keep these tales alive. The hunter stood frozen, caught between the pull of his desires and the weight of what he witnessed. Never had he seen such unity, such willingness to sacrifice. His heart, hardened by years of survival, began to crack. But the story does not end here, for love's power is not in words alone, but in what follows. Kanda Kanara and Kanda, bound by their vow, looked not at the hunter but at each other. In their eyes was a truth that transcended the trap, the forest, even time itself. They were not merely Kanaras, not merely creatures of myth. They were embodiments of a love that burns through lifetimes, a love that the Buddha himself carried through his countless lives. This moment, this choice, was a thread in a tapestry far greater than the hunter could know. What would you do in such a moment? Would you stand like Kanda or speak like Kanda Kanara? As you ponder this, let the story pull you deeper, for the forest has more to reveal. The hunter, trembling now, lowered his bow. Something within him shifted, as if the song of the Kinnaras had awakened a long-forgotten part of his soul. He knelt, his hands unsteady, and unfastened the trap. Kanda Kinara's wings spread wide, but he did not fly. Instead, he turned to Kanda, their feathers brushing as they stood together, unbroken, unshaken. The hunter watched, his heart no longer his own, and in that moment he was no longer a hunter but a witness to something sacred. He left the forest that day, his quiver empty, his soul full. Kanda Kanara and Kanda returned to their dance, their song rising once more, a melody that would echo through the ages. But why does this story linger? Why does it call to us across time? Because it is not just their story, it is ours. It is the story of every heart that dares to love, to sacrifice, to choose another above itself. Let this tale stay with you. Let it remind you of the bonds you hold dear. If it resonates, subscribe to hear more stories that awaken the heart, and share this one to inspire others. The forest's song is meant to be shared, and yet, the tale of Kanda Kanara and Kanda is more than a story of love. It is a mirror. It reflects the eternal dance of compassion and selflessness that lies at the heart of existence. In their wings, we see the flight of the Buddha's countless lives, each one a step toward awakening, each one a testament to the power of giving. You, too, carry this potential within you. Every choice to love, to sacrifice, to stand for another is a note in the same melody that Kanda Kanara and Kanda sang. As the forest fades and their song lingers in your heart, ask yourself, What will you do with this truth? Will you let it inspire you to live with greater compassion, to love with greater courage? The path is yours to walk, and the first step is simple. Carry this story with you. Share it, let it ripple outward, and if you're moved to support the telling of such tales, a super thanks will help keep these stories alive for all. Let the song of Kanda Kinara and Kanda guide you, for their love is not just a tale of the past, but a call to awaken now. Wings against the storm. The melody of Kanda Kinara and Kanda still lingers, doesn't it? Like a breeze that refuses to fade, their story pulls you back, whispering of truths that stir the heart. You've seen their love defy a hunter's trap, their wings brush against eternity. But what happens when the forest grows silent? What becomes of a bond that shines so brightly it challenges the stars? Stay with me, for the tale now weaves deeper into the shadows of choice and the light of awakening. Imagine a moment where love is not just a feeling, but a force that reshapes destiny. This is where we find Kanda Kinara and Kanda again, their song unbroken, yet tested by a new trial, one that will bind you to their story, unwilling to step away. In the days following the hunter's departure, the Himalayas seemed to glow with a quiet reverence. The trees stood taller, the rivers sang softer, as if honoring the Kinara's courage. Kanda Kinara and Kanda resumed their dance, soaring through mist-wreathed valleys, their feathers catching the dawn's first light. But love, as you know, is never a straight path. It curves, it climbs, it asks for more than words or vows. One twilight, as the sky burned with hues of saffron and rose, a shadow fell over the forest. Not a hunter this time, but a storm, an ancient tempest born of the mountain's wrath. Clouds churned like a sea of ink, lightning cracked the heavens, and the winds howled with a hunger that could tear wings from bone. The forest trembled, and even the bravest creatures sought shelter. Can you feel the air grow heavy? The pulse of the storm quickens, and with it, the story turns. Hold fast, for what comes next will test the heart. Kanda Kinara and Kanda, perched on a cliff's edge, watched the storm approach. Their eyes met, not with fear, but with a shared resolve. They could have fled to safer skies, their wings swift enough to outrun the gale. But below, in the heart of the forest, lived countless beings. Deer with trembling fawns, birds too young to fly, creatures whose lives hung fragile in the storm's path. Kanda Kinara's gaze softened, his heart stirred by a truth he had carried through lifetimes. No life is small, no suffering insignificant. He turned to Kanda, his voice steady as the mountain itself. "We cannot leave them," he said. "Our wings are not for us alone." Kanda's silver feathers gleamed in the fading light, her nod a silent vow. Together they would face the storm, not for themselves, but for those who could not. Have you ever faced a moment where duty called louder than safety? Stay here, let their choice pull you closer, for this is where love becomes more than two hearts. It becomes a beacon. As the storm descended, Kanda Kinara and Kanda took flight, their wings cutting through the chaos. The winds tore at them, rain lashed their feathers, but their song rose above the roar, a melody of hope, of unity, of a love that refuses to break. They flew to the forest's heart, where the weakest huddled in fear. Kanda Kinara's golden wings spread wide, shielding a nest of fledglings as lightning struck nearby. Kanda, with grace that defied the gale, guided a lost fawn to its mother, her voice a thread of calm in the tempest's scream. Together, they wove through the forest, their presence a promise, you are not alone. The storm raged, but their love burned brighter, a light that no darkness could swallow. Can you see them now, their feathers battered yet unyielding? If this image stirs you, If their courage speaks to your soul, consider subscribing to hear more tales that awaken the heart. Let their story live on through you. Hour after hour, the Kinnaras fought the storm's fury. Their wings grew heavy, their voices hoarse, yet they did not falter. Kanda Kinnara, shielding a cluster of rabbits from falling branches, felt the weight of his choice. He could have saved himself, could have flown with Kanda to safety, but what is love if it turns from suffering? Kanda, guiding a flock of sparrows to a cave, felt the same truth. Her heart beat not just for Kanda Kinnara but for every life trembling in the dark. Their love, once a private melody, now sang for all. As dawn broke, the storm weakened, its wrath spent. The forest, though scarred, stood alive. Fawns nuzzled their mothers. Birds tested their wings, and the air hummed with gratitude. Kanda Kinnara and Kanda, exhausted but unbroken, landed on a branch, their feathers entwined. The forest watched, as if bowing to their sacrifice. Have you ever given more than you thought you could? Their story holds a mirror to your own heart. Stay with it, for the tale is not yet done. The creatures of the forest gathered, their eyes reflecting a quiet awe. A deer stepped forward, its voice soft but clear. You could have fled, it said, yet you stayed. Why? Kanda Kinnara's gaze met Kanda's, and in that moment, a truth older than the mountains spoke through him. No life is separate, he said. Your joy is ours. Your pain is ours. We stayed because love does not choose who to save, it saves all. The words rippled through the forest, a teaching that would linger long after their wings fell still. Kanda added, her voice a gentle echo, we are bound not just to each other, but to all who breathe. The creatures bowed, not in worship, but in understanding. This was no ordinary love. It was the seed of compassion, the root of awakening. Can you feel the weight of their words? They speak to you too across time. If this moves you, share this story. Let it inspire others to live with such love. And if you're called to support these tales, a super thanks will keep their light burning. The forest healed, its scars softened by time, but the story of Kanda Kinnara and Kanda grew. It passed from deer to bird, from wind to river, a melody that carried a truth. Love is not a possession, but a gift given freely, even at great cost. The Kinnaras returned to their dance, their wings lighter for having carried others. Yet, as you listen, you may sense a deeper thread. This tale is not just theirs, it is the Buddha's, woven through his countless lives, each one a step toward enlightenment. Kanda Kinnara's sacrifice, Kanda's courage, these are the echoes of a path that calls to us all. What will you do with this call? Will you let it fade, or will you carry it forward? The story pauses here, but its rhythm beats on, waiting for you to join it. Stay with me, for the final turn of this tale will reveal a truth that could change how you see the world. Light beyond the forest. The song of Kanda Kinnara and Kanda still hums in the air, doesn't it? Like a thread of light woven through the fabric of time, their story refuses to let go. You've seen them face a hunter's trap, defy a raging storm, and lift a forest with their love. But what does it mean to carry such a love through eternity? What does it ask of us, who listen across lifetimes? As we step into the final weave of this tale, prepare to see the Himalayas not just as a forest, but as a mirror for your own heart. This is no mere story, it's a call, a spark, a truth that will hold you fast, unwilling to let you turn away until its final note fades. In the quiet days after the storm, the forest bloomed anew. Flowers unfurled where lightning had struck, and the rivers sang with a clarity that felt like gratitude. Kanda Kinnara and Kanda, their feathers worn but their spirits bright, soared once more. their wings tracing arcs of gold and silver against the sky. Yet something had changed. Their love, once a private melody, now carried the weight of every life they had touched. The forest no longer saw them as kinnaras alone. They were guardians, bearers of a compassion that burned beyond their own existence. But even in this harmony, a final trial waited, one that would test not their courage, but their surrender. Can you feel the stillness before the moment breaks? Stay with me, for this is where the story turns inward, where love becomes a path to something greater. One twilight, as the sun dipped low, painting the peaks in hues of amber and violet, Kandakanara and Kanda rested on a cliff overlooking the vast expanse of the Himalayas. The air was soft, the world at peace, yet a subtle shift stirred within them. Kandakanara's eyes, deep as the sky, turned to Kanda. "Our song has carried far," he said, his voice a whisper of eternity. "But it is not ours alone. It belongs to all who suffer, all who seek." Kanda, her silver feathers catching the last light, nodded. "Our love has woven this forest together," she replied. "But what if it must now weave beyond?" Their gazes locked, and in that moment a truth dawned. A truth they had carried through countless lives. A truth that the Buddha himself would one day embody. Love, in its truest form, does not cling. It releases. It gives itself fully, not to one, but to all. Have you ever felt a truth so deep it reshapes you? Hold it close, for this is where the story asks you to look within. The kinnaras rose, their wings steady despite the weight of what they knew. They flew to the heart of the forest, where the creatures gathered once more, drawn by an unspoken call. Deer, birds, even the ancient trees seemed to lean in, sensing the moment's gravity. Kandakanara spoke, his voice a melody that carried the wisdom of lifetimes. "We have loved, we have sacrificed, we have stayed," he said. "But love is not bound by wings or time. It flows like a river, touching all shores." Kanda stepped forward, her presence a light that warmed the dusk. "We give our song to you," she said, "to carry, to share, to sing when the world grows dark." As they spoke, their forms began to shimmer, their feathers dissolving into motes of light that drifted upward, merging with the stars. The forest gasped, not in sorrow, but in awe. Kandakanara and Kanda were no longer bound to form. They had become the love they embodied, a force that would echo through every heart, every life. Can you see them now, not as chimeras, but as a light within you? If this moves you, subscribe to keep these stories alive, and share this tale to let its light spread further. The creatures of the forest stood in silence, their hearts full. The deer bowed, the birds sang, and the rivers carried the kinnara's melody to distant lands. But this was no end, it was a beginning. The love of Kandakanara and Kanda, their willingness to give all, became a seed planted in every soul that heard their story. It was the same seed that would bloom in the Buddha's teachings, the same truth that would guide countless beings toward awakening. Their sacrifice was not loss, but liberation. A love so vast it transcended self, becoming a path for others to follow. As the stars shone brighter that night, the forest understood. Their song was not gone, but woven into the very fabric of existence. Have you ever felt a story become part of you? This one can if you let it. Let it guide you to live with compassion, to love without clinging, to give without counting the cost. And so, the tale of Kandakanara and Kanda closes, yet it does not end. It lives in you, in the choices you make, in the love you give. Their story is a reminder that every act of selflessness, every moment of courage, is a note in the eternal song of awakening. You carry their light, whether you know it or not. What will you do with it? Will you sing it in your own way, share it with those around you? The path is yours, and it begins with a single step. A step toward compassion, toward connection, toward a love that does not end. If this story has touched you, share it with others. Let it ripple outward like the Kinnara's song. And if you feel called to support the telling of such tales, a super thanks will help keep their light burning for all. As the Himalayas fade and the stars take their place, let Kanda Kinnara and Kanda's love remind you. You too can weave a song that echoes through eternity.